I do wish I.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of Scoundrels of the Force here on PLD Projects. Great to see everybody. I will confront the news right away. Yes, the thumbnail lied. We were supposed to have a friend on here, Richard Erik-Jarvi, my boy, my brother from another mother, from Estonia. Unfortunately, he texted me very late in the night, and he is under the weather in such a way that he cannot make his appearance. We're sad to do so. I'm going to actually throw him under the bus, too, right away, because I know he's going to watch this later on. He also did say he was scared coming on because he knows he's not quite as knowledgeable in the Star Wars canon universe as the three of us. He was a little intimidated. I want him to feel welcome, so everybody has to talk to him and say, look, we don't care. We're very welcoming here. We want you on the show. We want to have that opinion. Someone who's seen all the movies, who might not have the deep depth knowledge. That's what we're here for. We're not going to bite your head off. We want you to learn. We want to
Wow, you really threw him under the bus. A man you have shared a show with for many years now, and you just went, hey, look, there's a bus coming past. Hey, Jarvi, come here.
I put the lightsaber up to his chest. I put the lightsaber up to his chest and ignited it. There he is. Yes, see? That's all right. See, Jarvi, I did throw him to the bus. He knows I love him. He's welcome on next time. Hopefully he'll make his debut on Scoundrels of the Force, but that's okay. I have two other guests here. Not going to guess. They're actually just fellow Scoundrels. They are co-hosts of the Scoundrels.
I'm putting this on my resume, man.
Ooh, well, I better make sure this is a good show then, huh?
I put this on my tombstone.
Scoundrel of the Force. Known for being a scoundrel of the Force.
Yep. There you go. Well, first off, I'll introduce ladies first. Of course, my beautiful wifey. She's knowledgeable in all things Star Wars. I don't know what I would do without her. Bidoor, how are you today, my dear?
I'm doing great. My dogs are fighting because I touched one of them. That I'm not allowed to because apparently he's not technically my dog. He's Kaiser's dog.
Right.
So, yeah.
Dean, yes, that is funny. I did join LGR, did portray C2 at one point. I just portray everybody in dark side. I'm dark side. But speaking of dark side,
I'm wearing red for you guys. Like, it's not a mall shirt. I will be getting more mall shirts, Matty. But I kind of have another love. I read the Thrawn books, and I kind of love Thrawn.
She's going from red to blue.
And only Star Wars can make me have a crush on a freaking red guy and then a freaking blue guy.
Yeah, but the blue guy can't fight as well as the red guy can. So who's going to protect you, huh?
I don't know.
Who's going to protect me?
Matty will protect you. That's true.
Yeah, damn straight.
Speaking of dark side, Matty Gunner, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Happy to be on with you two lovely, beautiful people. I emphasize the beautiful, obviously, with Bidoor, but Paul, you know, you're beautiful to me too.
I appreciate that bullshit, but I love you anyway.
PLD's gorgeous. I'd hit that. I mean, I do, but you know.
We got to keep our DMs out of this. Remember, that's the thing we got to keep out
of this. Right. Wrong conversation.
But anyway,
Scoundrels. What can we say?
Scoundrels. That's right. That's what you expect every week on Scoundrels of the Force. Every 2 weeks, as I should say. We're a bi-weekly project, it seems, at least for now. I don't know. I still feel like we might eventually get weekly, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But this is the new concept of the show. We had our first show 2 weeks ago when it was kind of more of a special. We just kind of did a deep dive into the High Republic. We kind of have been developing ideas for the show. Bidoor pitched me an idea that I loved. I kind of tried to develop it a little bit further. We came up with this new concept of the show. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the news, the more newsworthy news of the past couple of weeks that we were on air. And just so you guys know, I'm going to tend to focus more on the stories that are being released, the canon that way. I'm not going to delve deep dive into like the actors per se. I'm not going to tell stories about if there's a story about Ray Park out there or other films are in. I'm just going to talk about mainly the movies, the books. I might touch on the games. I'm not as knowledgeable on the games as Matty is probably, I'm assuming. And maybe Bidoor. I'm not sure how Bidoor is with the games.
Oh, I'm all about the games.
all
I'm
about the
all up
games.
for them.
Okay.
I'm like, you know.
Yeah, well, then maybe I'll have that segment just for Bidoor. I would like to get back to the games eventually at some point. I feel like I have to draw a line somewhere. I have no time as it is, and if I start trying to deep dive into the games,
I was playing episode 1 Pod Racer on Switch the other day, and
is it? I have it on my PC. I don't know if it's cross-platform, if we can play together.
It's not. There's no online multiplayer, and I was actually saying, I was talking to a good friend Brandon Bucks about it. They should do it with online multiplayer.
They should. If not, then you play it and I play it, and we're like together in voice chat and be like, "Oh, motherfucker! Like Ben Quadraneris fucked me over."
Well, I should actually throw it out there. I used to play the old games. I did like that. I loved that game. I loved Knights of the Republic, and I loved back in the Super Empire Strikes Back, Super Nintendo days. I used to play all those upstarts. Just got to the point where I stopped.
All of them are on Steam.
That's true. I might get back into it that way. That could just.
I still remember the cheat for the Phantom Menace game, where it would take you to the cheat screen where you could like put like God mode on and stuff. Like I still remember the cheat code for that. It's still up here. If they ever bring that back, like I'm good.
Well, guys, we're going to talk. Like I said, we're going to talk about the news for a little bit, and then we're going to do a deep dive into a review, so to speak, of a particular project. Today's project that we all did a rewatch on, I went into is the Phantom Menace episode 1. I figured let's just start the first episode. Why not? It's a great way to start. We're going to take our thoughts on that. Go do some talk about everything deep dive as far as story, characters, etc., and then specifically, as part of the show, what we'll do every time is we're going to take something from the media, either a book, movie, Clone Wars arc, potentially something like that, and we're going to take a particular look at one specific topic within and do more of a deep dive specifically into that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like I had a lot of fun going into mine today. I won't reveal them yet. We'll see how this all works. And hopefully at the end of the day, you guys like this as much as we do. And this will be our new format going forward. And Jarvi, if you are still watching, Bidoor suggested that you could pick our next topic in a couple of weeks. And I kind of like that. So if you're watching, Jarvi, think about what you want to do as far as what movie, book, whatever you want to take into effect. But without further ado, first of all, I got to put the thing back on. Always so bad at that when I show a poster. Where you go? Here we go. Right away. Let's move into
my name is right under me.
Yeah, it worked perfectly that way, huh?
I love how I have to kind of duck down. So you can see my face.
Maybe over the side of the I couldn't jump to the angle, a different kind of angle. I can do that, but then do that. But almost like that's like too close. He's like, whoa!
It's like Wayne's World, way too close.
Way too close. So we'll stick with this for now. But let's get right into the news. I did take a lot of the news, like I always do, from Star Wars News.net. I love that site. It kind of cuts through bullshit. It tells you what is bullshit. Like they even post articles say, look, this is what's been reported. I think is a bullshit, but we're going to report it as a rumor or whatever. Of course, John Hoey, Lacey Gillerin, both now officially parts of the movie Trivia Schmodown, which we all follow.
One of them is on my faction.
That is true. My faction as well, as far as that's concerned. I've been made I'm an action guy. Technically speaking, I'm a third action guy.
So we have one of them.
Exactly.
The other one we might have, but I cannot confirm nor deny.
Yeah. In spirit, we'll have to see what happens when the other individual makes a return of some kind. We'll find out later on. But both John Hoey and Lacey Gillerin in the Schmodown. I'm hoping that James Bainey will make some noise, perhaps join the FCL.
Yeah,
maybe get.
Me too.
I was a big fan of his band back in the day.
Yeah,
West Brother. Yeah, I loved them back in the day.
Yeah, I've heard of them. So yeah, good on him.
Nice. Very nice.
Hey, if you want someone to call James's matches, let me know.
I'll definitely let you know as far as that goes. And Jarvi, yes, ponder that. We'll get back to us on that. All right. Without further ado, let's get into the news that the Star Wars News.net gave us, and I curated from The first one, the rumor, this is one of those rumor things that he reported, that The Mandalorian Season 3 might not start filming until April, which would put the season premiere of Mandalorian Season 3 roughly around April of 2022. The site, though, that was reporting it had been notoriously unreliable, had gotten rumors wrong, and I guess Pablo Hidalgo and Lucasfilm had kind of poo-pooed a lot of the stuff they've done. So who knows if it's true? Although I got to be honest, that sounds about right to me, especially because they're developing Book of Boba Fett. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, they're releasing Book of Boba Fett December, right, and it's going to go into January by the time it ends. I don't think they're going to start season 3 immediately after. They're going to give it at least a month for people to like rewatch or make sure that people are still signed up, right, to get more money. Like it's business. So I can see it being April, just because it's going to be the same as this year. Right now we have WandaVision, and then we have they're Falcon doing it after Falcon Winter Soldier. Is like there's like a week break between it.
Right, so, potentially, yeah.
Possibility.
What about you, Matty? What's your thoughts?
I'm okay with it. If they're taking that long, I'm okay with it. Like Bidoor said, we got Falcon Winter Soldier, we got WandaVision to like tide us over in time. Like Bad Batch as well. I believe they said that's coming out later this year. So that'll be
next
cool.
month. Next
month.
That's
actually a news report we're going to talk about soon. So let's set the table that.
We got Book of Boba Fett at the end of this year. Who knows if we don't see Din pop up in there? My thoughts would be you have Star Wars Celebration next August. So I think that's when we'll hear the first rumblings of when can we expect The Mandalorian Season 3. But I'm cool to wait. I'm happy to have a little break from The Mandalorian, especially with the ending that we got. I'm happy to kind of like stew in my own thoughts and be like, okay, where could they possibly go with this? So yeah, I'm cool with it. April.
Can we do like a speculation show?
Oh, we definitely will. It's not can we, it's a will we, and the answer is
yes. It's when we.
when we will, exactly. As we get closer, definitively we will. I will say, I do agree. I think it is. I do remember hearing at one point potentially that they were going to overlap potentially. That was also a rumor I had heard at one point. I don't know how it's true. Like they would actually do Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian together, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense yet. That's the kind of thing. Once we get like 10 seasons or 10 shows going on left and right, that's when we start overlapping. Until then, I say you let it flow naturally at this point.
I think it's because people got so used to it being released December. And I think the original date for it was December.
Yes.
So I think that's why people thought it was overlapping, but then it got pushed back a little. And then now it's pushing back more. If it isn't my other handsome fella.
Maxwell in the chat. Love to see you in our chat.
It's all my favorite people in just one place.
Gotta love it.
My heart handle this. I can't.
Maxwell, we've never spoken, but thank you. I appreciate that. You're a great guy. Thank you very much for the compliment.
He's not a handsome scoundrel. He'd love to be on the show anytime. He's welcome as well. We're talking about Star Wars anytime. We are. Like I said before, I don't care what level of Star Wars fandom you are. If you want to come and talk Star Wars, let me know. I'll probably talk to you about it. We can have you on our panel here. I love talking Star Wars with just about anybody. So. Next news point we'll go on to. Alan Tudyk tells Entertainment Tonight that he will be back as K2SO at some point. And does not, but he's definitely not in the first season. We talked about that a little bit last time. That was the announcement that was made. He confirms that, but it still doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, I know he was there when Andor was announced. He and Diego Luna were both there when they were announced. So all of a sudden now you're saying he's not going to be around. Now Andor supposedly is 12 episodes in the first season. That's what I read somewhere. I originally was like, my initial thought was, is Andor going to be one of those 6-episode shows? And it's like, okay, I kind of get that if you see K2SO after that. 12 episodes is a long time to establish Cassian on his own. I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily, but I'm not going to lie, K2SO was my favorite part of that relationship with that story. And I was looking forward to more than anything. So I'm a little disappointed at that still. But, I mean, maybe it's going to be for the best. If they hammer out a story that's to their liking and K2SO isn't part of that yet, maybe it will be for the best. What are your thoughts on that, guys? Start.
Yeah, I think if how early they're gonna go with the Cassian story. If it starts off with him with K2SO, it won't make sense because he did like reprogram him. So I get that point, but I'm with you. K2SO is my favorite character in Rogue One. So yeah, I'm just really sad. Like even today, one of my friends was like trying to edge me towards like putting another bot just to name him K2SO on my Discord.
I love that. I love that. Matty, what's your thoughts on it?
It's difficult, right? Because 12 episodes of Andor, it's like how much can you flesh out that character? Obviously, he does have a very rich backstory, but how much of it can you actually use? Because is this a one-off, or is they're talking about more seasons? So how much of one person can you stretch out that far before you bring in K2SO? I think it's kind of, they've put out a feeler of like, okay, we're going to say that K2SO isn't going to be a part of the first season just to see how people react. Because I'm going to be honest, I say the catchphrase, in Filoni I trust, in Feige I trust. Even then, I still have some skepticism, because unless it comes from someone who works directly at Marvel or Lucasfilm, Disney, even the actors, I don't trust anything they say. So I'm kind of just like,
maybe he's fucking with us a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of sleight of hand. Like, look over here, when really over here we're working the trick. Like, we're working all of you.
Could say. He was a little bit vague on it. He kind of, I don't think I don't have the quotes in front of me. I don't think he ever necessarily said he wasn't in season 1. He just said he wasn't filming yet, or he wasn't involved yet, kind of thing, potentially. So maybe you might be right on that. You might depend on right. I mean, the one silver lining that would be happening is, to me, that means that they're definitively have a story planned out. If that's the case, which we could definitely make it a little bit better, a little more palatable, because if they have a story planned out and they're going to stick to it, it's always better than trying to wing it, as we found out sometimes. So, with that being said, I think we'll move on to the next subject. We do have a couple more things we're going to get to. Star Wars authors Kevin Scott and George Mann were talking about an upcoming Life Day Treasury that's going to come out in September, a little anthology book of 8 stories. Now, the anthology books have been a long staple in Star Wars. There's a lot of them did Legends. There was like Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina. There was Tales from Jabba's Palace, and we've had the similar thing in the Dukan. We had the basically I can't remember certain point of view, and the one
Legends of Luke Skywalker.
Yep, though that's another one as well. A lot of little things like that. I have a love-hate relationship for these books, to be honest with you. I love the fact that we get to see more about behind-the-scenes characters. But potentially also means you're dealing with a lot of characters I don't care about. And one of the tropes that happens in a lot of these books, and maybe this is just me, but I so fucking hate the ideas of like the stories. Like they'll tell a story from like the from the point of view of the Tauntaun in Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of like, I'm sorry, I just don't care. I don't care about the Tauntaun going back to his mate. Like I'm like,
I will say the certain point of view books are amazing. I've read a lot of stories in them. Like no one really talks about Bria Organa, but her story made me cry. Like I legit had to put the book down, and even though it was a short story, it's like no more than 10 pages. I had to put the book down because I was crying.
100%. And that's the good side of the anthology, and that's the part I love. That when I say love hate, you get those moments like that you flesh out characters you don't know but you are interested in. It's just that I wish I could pick and choose which ones I get to. Like I wish I had a list like the authors. I want to put a story about this. I was yes. Tauntaun story. Get the fuck out. I'm sure people do love it though. I'm not going to tell you what to love. If you love it, more power to you. I hope you enjoy it, but it's just not for me. What about you, Matty? Have you read any of these anthology books, and do you like them?
Yeah, I've read some of them. People keep telling me to get to this certain point of view books, and they're definitely on my list to do. Possibly like when they're all out, so I can just like breeze through all of them. But I was listening to Force Sensor the other day, and because at first hearing about this book, I was like, really, a book on Life Day? Like, do we need this? But then Joseph Scrimshaw, he complete as he usually does, just switched my opinion on it. It was like, well, it's this little detail that encompasses a lot. Like, is it celebrated galaxy wide? What kind of celebrations go on? Like, does everyone get the day off on Life Day? Like, this just for this one day, like the entire galaxy just stops what they're doing and celebrates everything in unison.
Mhm.
As soon as like he said something like that, I was like, oh damn, like yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
wow.
want to know about this. Like, what kind of lights do they put up on Life Day? What kind of decorations does someone put in their house on Life Day, Paul? I don't know.
I don't know either. That's a great question. We should find out more about. Maybe we will in this book, right? You never know. But I do like. It's funny actually. I did have a story. I used to write fan fiction back when I was like, probably 20 years ago now. I wrote some Star Wars fan fiction. I did write a Life Day story, so I should maybe unearth it in time for this particular anthology.
Read it on the show.
Read it on the show. Might not be that great. I actually did. I will admit, I'm proud of some of the stories I wrote. Some of them were definitely shit, but that's okay. That's why I'm hosting a show and not writing for Lucasfilm.
Hey, if you want to see some shit writing, Wednesday.
Wednesday? Okay.
Wednesday on the Holocron.
Holocron on LG. All right. We'll definitely get into that.
Read the last few Thrawn books.
I will say,
Joking.
Wow. I'm interested to do a deep dive with you on that at some point, Matty. I'll talk to you about that. You're not as big a fan of these Thrawn books?
The Thrawn books, the new ones?
Not the new ones.
They
just didn't grab me. I don't know why.
I don't know. I love his brain.
Yeah, well, I think that's the character that's the issue. I think because I too understand where you're coming from, Matty. I am okay with it. It took me a bit to get into the newer Thrawn. The older Thrawn is a little more
story driven.
A little more story driven, I think, at that point. And that's where it comes into play.
I can understand that, but me reading the Thrawn book, I was looking for the character. I wasn't looking for the story. I wanted to see how his brain worked.
Yeah, I like the character of Thrawn. It's just I don't know why, but maybe I need to go back and read the books again. And it's possible because like they haven't finished yet that something's gonna happen. And I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, now I see.
Yeah, I'm getting the newest one soon. So
I think part of it actually, and before we shouldn't do a deep dive, as we should do later on, I will throw a last minute thing in there. Part of the issue might be kind of what I call the canon curse a little bit to a degree in terms of like the original Thrawn books were the sequel trilogy back in the day. That's what it was. It was the first really venturing out into what happened post Return of the Jedi. So there's definitely a lot going on in those books that make it more of an exciting thing. Whereas this is much more of a let's learn about Thrawn's past and more in depth with the character, and that's a good thing necessarily. I get that, but it might not be as exciting as far as like stakes go to a degree. That might be what it is. I think.
I can see that, and so many people are telling me like the original Thrawn books are so much better, and I'm just like, I love these books already, so I cannot wait. I'm not a Legends person, so those are gonna be like my first Legends books that I read.
So you are going to at some point.
I am going to. Like you're seeing me. I'm breezing through these books that I haven't read already. So as soon as I'm done with like the last one in timeline wise that affect the story overall, I'm going to the Legends, gonna read all 3 Thrawn books, and then gonna go back into canon stuff.
Let us be your guide. Let us be your guide about canon. There's a lot of Legends, rather. There's a lot of shit in Legends. I'm not gonna lie. There's also a lot of good stuff. So we should we'll try to help you through that, and we'll definitely do some of that on the show as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Thrawn ones at the moment, and I know Plagueis is good.
Plagueis is very good. Plagueis is one of my favorite ones. There's some Darth Bane ones that are pretty good as well.
Oh, dude, that Bane trilogy. Oh,
Bane trilogy. Okay, so Thrawn trilogy, Bane trilogy, and Plagueis.
Yes, both are very, very good. We'll get into that more later on. But let's move on to the next topic, the next news topic. We're almost 24 minutes in. We got to go into our Phantom Menace review. But here we go. We had 2 more pieces I'll mention. Actually, 3 little quick ones. First of all, Star Wars Victory's Price releases a new excerpt ahead of the March release. I don't read the excerpts ahead of time. I don't know if you guys do. I feel like, why am I going to read like 2 chapters? I'm going to have to just tease it. Just let me read the whole thing. Are you guys like that at all? Do you guys read the excerpts?
No, I need the whole thing, like the whole thing in context. Because if I read something like an excerpt, I'm just like, this could, like the excerpt may not be as good, and it might kind of deter me from reading the whole thing.
I get that. Have you guys read Alexander's previous books, the Battleground books, and the previous Alphabet Squadron books?
Yeah.
No.
You haven't. Okay.
I feel like I can't. I'm way behind on books.
I get it. It's all right. Matty, what are your thoughts on those books, real quick?
I like it. I like them. I'm not like they don't wow me, but it's a different story. So I'm all open to read it. Where this one could go, especially with Operation Cinder and everything, like how are they going to beat the Shadow Wing? Because essentially at this point, Alphabet Squadron, they got their back to the ropes, and it's like, okay, how are they going to get out of this? So I'm curious.
Yeah, I was not as big a fan of this guy's work. I mean, a lot of fans. He has a strong niche of fans that love this work. Maxwell says the Alpha Squadron books are fun, and there is a side of it's fun. I'm not as sold on them as some people are. I kind of felt like I'm reading them, kind of like I'm not getting quite the excitement, but they have developed to the point now where I am into it. To the point I do want to see how it ends. I like some of the characters. And it kind of reminded me of the old X-Wing Rogue Squadron books that were in Legends to a degree, but not quite as good. But that's okay. We'll get there. Maybe this next one will be the one we get into. Ed Haskell in chat. Love Ed. Always good to see you.
Ed.
Also, Into the Dark was obviously released recently. Matty's waiting. Bidoor and I have already started it. She's going to finish it today. I'll probably finish it this week. I do want to let you guys know, before you read Into the Dark, there is the Rise of Kylo Ken. Or not Kylo Ken. I'm talking Schmodown again. The Rise of Kylo Ren comics that you'll find, if you read that, you'll find a setting that is the main setting for Into the Dark. It's an interesting connection. So you go back and read.
Which one?
I'm not going to say anything more than that. I'm just saying read the comics and you're going to find out.
Because I've read the comic.
Connection to the new book or
yes,
Night of the Jedi?
This Into the Dark.
Oh.
There's the setting is the setting of Into the Dark. The main setting of Into the Dark is a place that we have visited before. Well, we visited in the future, timeline wise, but in the past, as far as the story is being released. So.
I think I know what one you mean, and that's cool. If it's what I think it is, that's cool.
It's a connection. So, regardless, I just want to throw that out there. I love teasing these little things. We'll talk about that more when we get to Into the Dark. In 2 weeks, we'll do that review as well. The last thing I will talk about is, I'll skip that one, but Star Wars: The Bad Batch Disney Plus series is seemingly set to start airing in spring of 2021. We don't have an actual release date as far as I've seen, but there's a D23 publication coming out around that time, which is going to feature a big interview supposedly with D. Bradley Baker, who is the main voice of this series, obviously as the whole Bad Batch.
As the entire show.
He is the entire show.
He's having a conversation with himself.
It does say the voice cast. The voice cast for this series includes D. Bradley Baker as Echo, Hunter, Tech, Wrecker, Crosshair, and Olivia. The cast did include also Stephen Stanton as Tarkin, which is always good to see. I mean, I knew that was going to happen. Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shah, which she announced, which is awesome. The interesting, we don't know, Ian McDermott's voice so far was featured by using archival audio. I don't know if it means he's going to do more as Palpatine. I don't know if he's going to be in as much. Who knows? Because I feel like it's not a very Palpatine-driven show. But also, I kind of feel like he'll be in the background, maybe make an appearance once in a while. But let's talk real quick. I think we'll have a more full preview episode as we get closer to what we expect. I got to admit, when this was announced, I wasn't hugely thrilled with it. Only because it was the one episode or the one arc in the Clone Wars, and didn't really have a whole lot of background to it. Like I was kind of like, okay, it's fine. They're cool. That's gonna be like the A-team of the Star Wars universe, and that could be fun. But I didn't like. I was kind of like not. I kind of pushed it aside. Like I want Ahsoka. I want the Obi-Wan live action. I want all these other things I wanted. But as you get closer, and they're throwing some more things in there, the Fennec Shah in there, the potential you could see a Sabine in there, the potential you could see a Hondo Anaka in there, which is what I'm hoping for. Because anytime I get Hondo, I'm a happy guy. I'm a lie there. I I'm excited. I'm excited now more and more. So I'm ready to see where we're going now, and I'm hoping to get more excited to go on. What are your guys' excitement level at this point?
I'm very excited. So I think there was like rumors that this was going to be like a backdoor pilot, like season 7 was going to be like a backdoor pilot to a new show. I think, I'm not sure, but watching it, I'm like, this is an interesting like origin story for how Echo joins them, because now he's different.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see where his journey takes him. And the one thing like I am desperate to know is what happens to them with Order 66. Do they take their chips out? Does Echo have his chip out because he's dead?
Right.
Does did it malfunction? Is it out? Does he tell them that this happened? Because I don't think they're gonna have a show based on the Bad Batch having them kill Jedi, going around and killing Jedi.
I don't think so either.
I also think that maybe we'll see, like towards the end of it, how Palpatine got rid of the clones.
I think that's going to be a big part of the storyline. I think you hit the nail on the head there, because obviously the clones were phased out and the regular stormtroopers were phased in. I think that's going to be a big part, because you're going to see how these older characters and how they react to their brothers getting phased out. Interesting point about the chips too. I don't know if the show will be about hunting down Jedi, but I kind of have the feeling we will see them run into a Jedi at some point or other. And I want that, and that will determine what we see, how they react. And so,
yeah.
And even more importantly, this is Dave Filoni. I wouldn't be shocked if we got an Ahsoka and Rex appearance at some point.
I'm sure they're gonna have an appearance.
So having them react to Ahsoka could be very interesting as well, and Rex as that goes. I don't know if Rex and Ahsoka will be together, because I think they split at that point. After Order 66, they split after the thing. I don't know how. Do we know? Maybe this is my being forgetful and me getting old, but I don't think we know when they split and when they got back. It was like Rebels was the first time they got back together for a while, but I think they had contact to some.
They had contact, but I don't think they. I don't know if they split immediately after finale of season 7.
That's because I kind of got that feeling when you look at the book, like the Ahsoka book that was released afterwards. They definitely were apart by then, but it doesn't mean they didn't hook up again later on. Also, they could be on and off. We don't know.
But apparently, like, I don't know if the book is kind of canon anymore, because the book takes place the same time as season 7, right?
The beginning of the book, shows little parts of the Siege of Mandalore. I don't think there was anything specifically that clashed too much. It could have been, it could be explained away. It might be a little bit fuzzy in a way, but I think you could explain it away. That was just stuff that wasn't shown on screen potentially. Some of it was to a degree too. I have to go back and reread. I read that when it first came out way back, like a couple years ago now. I want to reread that and go from there. Yes, Max, it's my cat. The cat's yelling. He said to run across every time. That's all into your rules. But yeah, so I think it's definitely still canon. There might be a little bit of fuzziness to it, because then but after that's over, it's all about what happens after that.
Yeah, because there's like a little thing. There's like little things that are changed. Because Theron actually mentioned this to me. Apparently, in the book, her lightsabers are green instead of blue when she captures Maul.
Yes.
And they've been separated at that time.
Right.
But as we see, they're not separated during.
That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Again, like I said, I have to go back and read it. Nothing through. But yeah, and there's little details like that.
It's little details, but you know.
And it's tough. It's tough. Sometimes and some things that are tough. I don't want to get too actually about a lot of different things, and as far as that goes, I kind of accept that there's going to be some. I always say, if worse comes to worse, I always say it's a narrator error, or like somebody views things they didn't get it quite right in the story. It's myth. It's all myth, because I've always seen Star Wars as myth. So here we are reading this as a myth later on. It's different authors. It is real, but we're only getting we only get people's versions of it. If somebody else is watching an event and tells us,
okay.
It's going to be a little bit different. It's definitely
real. It's real.
It's a galaxy far, far away. That's all.
Yeah. Like the whole thing that happened, right?
110%. It is history. It's
Do
historical.
you guys want to laugh? I don't know if I said the story on here before or not, but our neighboring country, Saudi Arabia, had like a history book, and they had the leaders of Saudi Arabia, and they had Yoda in one of them as a mistake.
Well, it's canon now, isn't it?
Yoda is part of Earth's history.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
It's
in a history book, you guys.
All right. Well, we'll move on from news. There's a couple of news bits nothing really that. I think Ewan McGregor confirming that filming is going to start in spring, but that's kind of what we knew anyway.
Yeah.
So nothing really important about that. Of course, do have some more. I will throw it out there now. Still coming up in the High Republic stuff. We got the short story coming out in 4 days. Star Wars Insider number 200 will have the second part of the Charles Soule. It's the epilogue to Light of the Jedi, which is cool. A couple other books are coming out soon. First Duty is another short story. Race to Crash Point Tower coming out in June. And then The Rising Storm, which is like the big adult novel. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I love all the stories. I love the young adult novels. I actually like some of the young adult novels better than the adult novels. But the adult novels tend to be the ones where the biggest story points are pushed as far as moving forward. So The Rising.
There was some key things that happened in this one, and some changes. No, not spoilers. But there are some like changes to what we know of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And you know how the first one had a cocaine reference?
Yes.
The second one 100% has a weed reference.
Oh,
yeah.
100%. Yeah, I can't wait to see more about that. So
yeah.
But without further ado, let us deep dive. I'm going to throw another different kind of alternate poster I found. We're going to break into Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Another beautiful art print.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
You guys ever, I told these guys this, if you ever watched Class Action on the Action Industries YouTube channel, Jarvi and I always like to find the alternate strange, not strange, but alternate different posters that aren't like ones you're going to see up on the wall. I love looking at those. So beautiful artwork there. So Google alternate posters and you'll find some hidden gems, especially in Star Wars, I found. But The Phantom Menace, Episode 1, where's the best place to start? Let's go back to the beginning. Beginning chronologically of the saga, Skywalker saga, as it were, at least for now. You never know when things are going to change. You never know. But I'd like to get your background on the film, as far as where you were when you saw it, and then we'll get into actually what you feel about it now, what you felt about it then. I'll do a quick start of me. I am an old man compared to you guys. I fully admit. I grew up in the 80s. My first movie in the history of my history was The Empire Strikes Back. And not too long afterwards, a couple years later, I got to see Return of the Jedi, like live in action when it first came out. So I was that guy. I lived through the dark times, as they called them. I don't know if you guys even know that, what's called the dark times after Return of the Jedi. Star Wars production kind of shut down on almost everything. We had like the few Ewok movies, some toy lines. But then until the Thrawn trilogy came out, the book of the Thrawn trilogy came out in like 91, I want to say, somewhere around 91, 92. There was like nothing Star Wars. Toy lines were dying, no games, no books, a few like the role-playing games, about all that was out. Thrawn trilogy kind of brought it back. And then, of course, George Lucas started doing special editions, and he kind of made mention that this new trilogy was coming, and we as Star Wars fans were getting amped and amped and amped and amped. And I remember, quite frankly, tickets went on sale. This is way before online ticketing, things like that. I literally went over to the mall. I want to say it was 19, somewhere around 19 or 20, somewhere in there, and I slept overnight at the mall in line to get Phantom Menace tickets. That's how big it was back in the day, as far as that goes. And I went to the theaters, and it was a great experience overall. But that's where I saw the movie. How did you guys first see the Phantom Menace? I want to get that background. Matty, we'll start with you this time.
So the first one that I ever saw was Return of the Jedi, and I was so young, I don't even remember seeing it. But I remember being at school one day, and I'd seen all the trailers on TV, and I thought nothing of it. And I was still in primary school when this came out. And a friend of mine, I'm going to shout out, my friend Tom Duffett. He came in one day and he was like, "Dude, this new Star Wars film, you're gonna love it." And then we would go out into the playground and we would always play out the last fight. And he was like the director. He'd be like, "No, no, no, this happened, this happened, this happened." And I was like, "Okay, I need to see this movie for myself." So I took my mum and my grandfather. We went to see it in a local cinema, and my mum fell asleep like within the first, I want to say 15, 20 minutes. Like she was dead asleep. And I just remember having this really cool moment with me and my granddad, just like, because obviously he saw the originals, and the two of us just like transfixed, just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And people love, like, I get it's become a running thing, like me with Darth Maul, but the first time I ever saw a movie that truly like terrified me was when you see him remove the hood. I was horrified.
Nice.
But I remember seeing him like all the tattoos, and I was like, "Oh man, this dude is cool."
Love it, love it. Bidoor, how about yourself?
Well, it's no secret that I'm a newer Star Wars fan. I've been a fan for 3 years now, since 2018. When was The Last Jedi released?
2017.
17. Okay, so since 2017, a few months before The Last Jedi started, I watched in order of release date. So I watched the original trilogy, and then I watched the prequel. So when I got to the Phantom Menace, I was like, ooh, this is not the same thing. I'm glad I didn't start with this one. But growing up in the last 3 years, watching Clone Wars, the show, I love the prequels now. I still do watch them as memes in general, because a lot of times I play a lot of video games and I hang out with my friends a lot. I use most of the quotes that I use are prequel quotes, because goddamn, they're quotable.
It's funny how that works. I realize a lot of people who mock the prequels, and yet it's so ingrained in our culture that like it's almost gotten a re-evaluation to it.
Yeah.
I mean, how many Star Wars shows do we watch where a guest will come on and they'll start with "Hello there," and it's like, and like me and my friend.
That's literally how I say hello in every single chat.
Absolutely. Me too, right?
Yeah.
I think about some of the characters, like the way that, I mean, I know part of it is Filoni has established a lot with the Clone Wars. He definitely made a deeper appreciation for everything in that era, but it was probably a better developed era than the original trilogy is at this point, as far as that goes. I mean, we're getting more canon stories now from it again at this point, but when it comes down to like so many different side characters, that's my deep dive later. That's a preview of my deep dive later. These characters, they're just hinted in, and they have full-fledged stories elsewhere. You can't help but appreciate. I guess we're getting right into it. You can't help but appreciate the lore and the setup and the world and universe created by the prequels, and it starts with the Phantom Menace. I will agree with you initially, Bidoor, that the first time I saw it, I mean, again, I was an old man who grew up with the original trilogy. I was kind of like, this is definitely not the Star Wars I was used to. And I had some misgivings about it. It kind of took me a little bit to get through it. And I was with a lot of friends who, I'm not going to lie, they hated it. They hated it. They're like, this is awful. This is wooden. This is stiff. This is not like, these characters are nothing like the ones I want to see and everything else. But I'm also happy to say a lot of them have come around to a bit on it. I think it's kind of things like you expect something. It's about your expectations. You expect the original trilogy again in a way. But this takes the risk of saying, no, I'm not going to give you the original trilogy again. I will give you hints of it if you dig deep enough. But on the surface, it's going to be a whole different story, a lot more politics, a lot more overt politics, I should say. Because Star Wars, the original trilogy, has politics in it. It's just sometimes it's not quite as hammer over the head about it as
original trilogy is literally about Nazis.
Exactly. That's about Vietnam as well as Vietnam, definitely some the Vietnam War, things like that. this is actually a lot of the prequel trilogy is very prescient about today's world to a degree, as far as how an emperor can slowly but surely turn the tide of the masses and get elected into office, so to speak. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Not going to go into the real world too much with that anymore. But going into the Phantom Menace in general, I loved how we got the Jedi Order and loved how we got the Sith. This is all the history. We never got that in episode 4, 5, and 6, obviously, because of where it took place. That was my first takeaway, was here we are right in the beginning. I'll throw this up there. We get to see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn in action like we had never seen in the trilogy before. At that point, we only saw Luke, who was not a Jedi until Return of the Jedi. And Vader, who was kind of like a broken old man at that point. Obi-Wan was a broken old man. This is the Jedi at their height. Well, maybe not their height, as they're living in the High Republic, so to speak. But as far as Jedi goes, they have the powers that we have. We get to see them in action. That was my first exciting moment. What about you guys as far as Jedi go?
You were right, Master. The negotiations were short.
We're short. Matty Kearns, love you, boy. Love Matty Kearns in there. So, what were your first thoughts right from the beginning when you see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon? They get in there and they start wrecking shop against the droids and everything else. Were you excited about it? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. No secret. The thing that I chose to talk about today is because of Qui-Gon. I do love the way he sees the Force, and overall prequel character that I love is Obi-Wan. Still love him. He's gorgeous.
He is gorgeous. I'll believe it. That I am proud of it.
What was I saying?
The Jedi in general, the Jedi you're going to see.
Yeah. So before I met Matty, I was a good person.
I hear that a lot.
So I was very much into the Jedi. So I thought Maul looked cool. I loved seeing all the Jedi. I love it. I loved it. I wanted more, which is what we're getting with the High Republic, and I'm loving it. So yeah.
And Matty, I know your dark side. I am actually too. But like, what were your thoughts seeing the Jedi on the screen, like the first time, and their big action piece at the beginning?
I mean, it started kind of peacefully, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk with the Trade Federation." I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm not sure how this is gonna go." Then the gas comes into the room, and immediately, boom, lightsabers on. I was like, "Here we go!" Like from the jump, we're getting some action. The Jedi jumping in, being the heroes that we know them to be. It's like, okay, now we get to see what these guys can do. Like Paul said, like at the peak of their powers. And it's
Right.
like, okay, because Luke has always been, he's a Jedi, but he never really trained other than Yoda as a Jedi. He kind of, after Yoda passed, like he had to kind of make his way on his own. So it was like, okay, let's see what these Jedi who studied like under the greats could really do. And then just seeing like the sprint, the Force sprint, I was like, wow, okay.
I was like,
Right.
dude,
Seen that
turn into
before.
Flash.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
did I just see Flash or what the hell just happened?
Yeah,
And-
it was legit.
One of the coolest moments in that early scene is when Qui-Gon's got his lightsaber and he's like twisting it into the door and the music is like swelling. And it's like, oh man, he's going to break through that door. He's going to kill everyone in there. This is going to be awesome. And then the destroyer droids come and it's like, oh, damn. Like, I really wanted to see that. But
well, I will say also Qui-Gon was a very interesting character for me as well. I did like Qui-Gon because he was the different, like, we're getting the new Jedi Order. We saw Luke in the original trilogy and Yoda and everything else. And here we're kind of establishing the Jedi Order. But right away, we're not using a Jedi that is typical of the Order. He is the Lone Ranger. He is the outcast. Or not outcast, might be a too strong of a word, but he doesn't go along with
Ronin.
people. Ronin, exactly. He is a samurai out on his own. He rejects the authority of the council many times. So it's awesome to see that as far as getting to see the establishment of both sides of the tale. And it's great that Qui-Gon is the master of Obi-Wan in a way, because Obi-Wan has to deal with probably one of the more ultimate anti-establishment Jedis in the future. So it's a good through line to watch that develop. Let's go into that. We're actually so far into this. We're almost an hour in. We haven't even touched it barely.
I know, right?
I'm gonna try to move this forward a little bit more. The next thing we'll talk about. Let's go talk about the dark side. There he is. There's your boy. I know we almost all just got a little excited.
Yes.
He's so handsome.
While Palpatine is obviously the orchestrator, Darth Maul is the hero we need. The villain we need. The hero we need in Episode 1.
No. The hero. He's the hero. Get it right. He's the hero.
He is obviously, even the people who don't like Episode 1, they will always go back to we need more Maul. We need more Darth Maul. We need that more lightsaber fight because it was the best way. Duel of Fates is the best, potentially the best piece of music that Williams has had in the saga. I'll say that out loud. And that's saying a lot, because you know how much I love John Williams' music. I love that moment. I actually trained my kid. So whenever she heard Duel of Fates beginning, she would run and get a lightsaber and just do the.
Awesome.
I used to say it was great. I was like, yeah, that's my kid. But that moment is my favorite moment of Episode 1, honestly, hands down. The moment where Darth Maul reveals himself, and you see Padme and the crew like running up to him and going, we're gonna take the long way around. Like there's one guy.
Wrong place.
That way.
Yeah.
It's like we want nothing to do with this guy. We're gonna let the two Jedi handle this.
Right.
We're gonna bounce.
And that fight sequence, obviously, it's kind of funny we're jumping to the end, but I think it's a good way to go from the Jedi to the Sith. I love watching this fight, and a lot of people have complaints about like there's no dialogue and everything else. You don't need dialogue. This one isn't.
Who has complaints about this? I want to have a chat. Who has complaints about the Duel of the Fates? Because I just want to have a conversation with them.
Right, exactly. We'll handle this.
Like, hands behind my back. I won't hurt you, but like, let's have a chat.
I think you could hurt people with your hands tied behind your back. So I don't trust that. I don't trust that at all.
I was talking to Dwayne today during our watch along, and there was this one moment because we're in yesterday. Sorry, we were in the finale of season 2 of Rebels, and when Maul blinds Kanan. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen it. There was a fight that happens where there was literally no background sound. It was literally, you can hear him breathing, you can hear like everything surrounding him, which is something that was needed for that moment to feel powerful. And I think that's the same thing with Duel of Fates. In that moment, that was the one that music was the one telling you the story.
Yes, I'm right there with you on that. The music was a character. It was definitely a character. You don't
100%. Like, honestly, they should have it in the credits, like John Williams as the
as Duel of Fates.
as the Force.
As the Force. There you go.
Maul has such a presence that whenever you see him, whenever he shows up in the Phantom Menace, when he reveals his hood, everyone's like, "Uh-oh." When he arrives in the Clone Wars, all the Mandalorians are like, "Uh-oh." When he arrives in Rebels, all the Inquisitors are like, "Uh-oh." He embodies fear.
Yeah.
And that's what you need from a bad guy. Someone that will really like strike you in the heart. It's like, oh, this ain't a guy to be messed with.
Right. That's just it, because it doesn't make sense.
Unless you're me and I'm just like, damn, that boy can get it.
Yeah. They're getting a little hot on the collar, and I might need a moment to cool off. I get it. It's okay.
I might need a moment to cool off.
My desk isn't like a rising couple. No, never mind. I won't go there. But
leave the time at 6 to midnight.
Wrong DMs. I will say that it made sense story-wise too, because the Sith haven't been around in a millennia in a way, like, or as far as the Jedi are concerned. So what are they going to talk about? What are they going to talk about? Oh, it looks like someone has made a little bit of a return. Back from the dead. Richard Erik-Jarvi made an appearance. How you feeling, my brother?
I'm feeling horrible, but I'm channeling the Force right now.
Hey.
So I figured I have to jump in here since you're talking the Phantom Menace.
Wow.
I'm going to try and keep up with y'all, even though I look like I'm pretty much going to die, but I'm going to try and be here.
You look good.
You look handsome, and I
You
see
become
us
one
in
with the
the
Force.
background.
You can become
Oh
one
yeah,
with the
I'm
Force.
gonna shut that off.
That's okay. So we're talking the Jedi. We're talking the Sith. Real quick, Jarvi. Let's go ahead and throw in there. What were your first? How did you first discover the Phantom Menace, and what were your first thoughts behind it?
Same. It was a friend of mine who said that he's going to go see a movie. I had no idea. Well, I knew what Star Wars was, but I knew about it like sort of. My dad woke me up in the middle of the night, just showed me some lightsabers clashing. That was, I think, Return of the Jedi. So when the Phantom Menace came out, I had no idea what I was going into. A friend of mine just said, "I'm going to the premiere, like the premiere in Estonia." I mean, and yeah, that's where I went in. And that's when I was mesmerized. So a little like Kearns, I was like, the Phantom Menace was my first full movie of Star Wars that I watched.
Me too.
What an interesting introduction. That's such an interesting introduction, and yet it hooked you. And that's what I love about Star Wars, is that it can be different each time. It can be such a different introduction depending on when you see it as a child or as a young adult. But it might hook you in a different way that other movies will. And
Yeah,
I know some people love prequels for that reason.
I feel like Star Wars is the kind of movie that comes into your life when you need it. It's weird, but that was like in my life at least. It came to me when I needed it the most. And look at my life now.
Yeah.
I still go back to what Yoda is saying about losing people. So
Yes.
I think it's a very mature way of handling loss.
Well, I mean, Star Wars in general, if we're going to get all philosophical about it, is about mythology, it's about the hero's journey, and there's a lot of philosophical concepts that are shown through in this. And so it's a way you can turn to Star Wars when you're dealing with almost anything, when you're dealing with loss, when you're dealing with love, when you're dealing with adventure, when you're dealing with the idea of stepping out from your uncle's farm into a brave new galaxy. I mean, there's so many different journeys that you can go on, and you can always, Star Wars is like that old friend that you can always rely on. Is like, it'll help you through that in a way. It can be there when you don't want to face the world. It can be your escape. It can be there to help you face the world, using the philosophical terms, using the characters, using your friends. And that's what's great about Star Wars to me. And yes,
that's why I gravitate towards Maul as much as I do, not just because he's covered in tattoos, he's a warrior, and it's like he knows deep in his soul that he is meant for something more than just being a guy from Dathomir who,
right.
Just like he said it himself, he was the apprentice to the most powerful being in the galaxy. He was destined for something more, and that's something that I've always thought of myself. Like, I've always thought that I am meant for something larger than what I've been given.
Right.
And that continues failure. It's like, I'm not there yet, but like, you have to kill me if you're going to stop me from getting what I want.
Right.
And that's why the character of Maul hits me so deep.
It's a great one to hit. It's a great one to hit you with. Jarvi, who is your favorite character in episode 1?
Episode 1? I think it's gotta be Qui-Gon as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because usually, the Revenge of the Sith is my like all-timer, so most of my character versions come from that movie. But there was this one, like you talked about how Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are going up against Maul at on Naboo. There's one confrontation between Qui-Gon and Maul when they're on Tatooine, like right before they take off. I wanted to ask you guys, did you notice the fact that Maul's saber isn't two-sided back then?
Oh, is it not?
Yeah, because you
No.
can see that it's actually like cut off, like there is no hole or anything in there. It might be just, to not throw the fans off or give them anything, but you can tell that it's like completely
Maybe
welded
he has
on
like
that side.
something that screws it.
Yeah.
A capper or something like that.
Yeah. Hey, you dropped your cap.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
I didn't notice that. I thought you were gonna bring up the meme of Maul didn't know who Anakin Skywalker was, but he still decided to run him over.
That was great.
Fuck them kids. That's what he said. Fuck them kids. They don't care about the kids. So you can find. I got this in here. So I won't.
There we go. Oh yeah, that's a good. You can see when I think it's when he flies off and he just
Flies off a minute
he's
ago. Okay.
just like left there standing, and he just
Okay.
lowers the saber. That's when
I mean,
you can see
the handle does look a little longer, but I can see
it does. But there's
it's not like the whole like bow staff
Look,
kind of
look.
style.
Yeah, I love. I can see that kind
It's
of.
a little low res,
Yeah.
but you can tell that it's like welded shut, sort of.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't look like it. Possibly it's
Yeah,
closed. Maybe it's a
I'm
closed.
gonna say capper.
Yeah, capper. I like the capper. Maybe that's what it could simply be like.
Because it
has
is
like
a longer saber as well.
It goes shh, and it just closes off or something.
I'm not trying to find movie mistakes. Sort of this got me thinking if whether or not Maul was still building his saber or something like that. So.
Definitely. No, because he definitely has it in canon pieces before. So I mean,
there we go.
That can't be the case.
That's where you guys got to put me in place.
I wonder.
I love your thoughts on that though, because I love that concept.
Yeah.
I love that you're thinking that. I love that you're thinking that way. I love hearing about that. To be completely honest with you, man, I love it. So keep it coming. Keep it coming.
I have a theory about why. Maybe it's because he only saw Qui-Gon. He thought, okay, I'm going to be up against 2 Jedi, so I'm going to keep the other blade a secret or hidden for when the other guy comes out. Let me take care of the old guy. Let me let me kill this old man, and then when the young apprentice comes out, I'm gonna whip out the second blade, and then I'm gonna go to town on him.
And he almost did. He almost did kill the old man. He is Qui-Gon was very much.
He did kill the old man.
I mean,
he did later on. At that point, man. At that point, he almost killed. Yeah, when Qui-Gon, because on the ship, he's all sorts of like he's like a half asthmatic at that point, almost like Vader was at that point. It's bad for him. It's bad. Of course, though, this is one of my favorite. I'll put this on screen down. There you go. Anakin Skywalker, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi. Too bad I'm going to have to kill you in 2-3 years, but
chop you in half.
Chop you in half, but it's good stuff. But anyway, you know what? Let's talk about the other parts of the Phantom Menace since we are talking. We had the Jedi, we talked about the Sith. Actually, you know what? I really should touch back on Palpatine, also his first appearance in here. It was so funny how some people didn't realize. There's actually people back in the day who didn't realize that Palpatine was the Emperor.
That was me.
I was gonna ask because watching it, I knew that the Emperor was Palpatine. But I was wondering if people who watched it in the theaters did not know.
There was a whole generation who did not know.
There was a lot of foreshadowing, but nothing was said until the very end when they show Palpatine, which one was killed, the Master or the Apprentice. That's the biggest clue, sort of.
Right. Yeah. Now, as an old school Jedi, I knew it because I knew the actor was playing the same character. That was how I knew it was Ian McDiarmid. Sure. So to me, I was like, that makes sense. And there you go. He has to do more or less. I'm keeping this sound. I'm hoping I'm not going to get killed for this as far as Disney goes. Maybe they don't hear it. They won't say anything. Go for 10 minutes. I'm not going to go for 2 minutes. But there it is, Master the Apprentice. And there it is. There it is. You get the nice little soft pan. And then there he is. And then there he is.
Yeah. I think if I'd been a little bit older, I would have caught that. But
that dude's immortal, though. He still looks the same.
Yeah.
Speaking of that next scene, that little snippet I like to do, I don't know, some people know, some people don't. I'm sure maybe, I think I might have told you this already, but the music that plays during the Naboo celebration at the end when they're walking up, they're celebrating everything else, is actually the Emperor's theme, just done happy.
You told me about this, and I forgot.
It's like a major. It's like a major key.
They play it the major key instead of minor.
And wow! And this is the choir instead of going because the Emperor's like no, and it's just on. It's under the happy version.
Oh, I didn't realize.
I didn't know that.
Of John Williams, right there. Just
wow.
He is a genius.
He is the goat. Jarvi, don't say anything else.
Except for naming a song Qui-Gon's Death.
Yeah.
You know?
That is true. Qui-Gon's Noble End. That was it. Qui-Gon's Noble End. That's what it was.
It was Funeral, and then they had to change it.
Yes, that's what it was. It wasn't initially that way.
Right. That's the one.
Well, that was kind of funny, I guess, back in the day. Back in the day, when they weren't sure soundtracks were coming out first, and everything else. But either way, I love that ending like that for that reason, particularly because I heard that music. I didn't notice it the first time I watched it either. I got it. Well, I'm not gonna lie. It was like a couple of repeated viewings. I kind of caught up the thing. I'm like, oh, that just sounds like it. I kind of slowed it down in my head. I'm like, that fucking Palpatine's music. Holy fucking shit, that's awesome. Subtle things. So.
And it's also like the fact how sinister Palpatine's plan is. Like the entire episode 1 was pretty much Darth Sidious just starting what the story is going to be. Like everything, the Trade Federation falling, the droids, the big, like everything is going according to his plan pretty much.
The Phantom Menace.
It's crazy when you think, because we've all seen the movie so many times but I started thinking about this fact, like how intricate his plan really is and how much went into this and how perfectly he executed.
Mm-hmm. And Bidoor mentioned you could read Plagueis. See, that's the one reason you want to read Plagueis, because the plan kind of begins there.
Yeah, I've heard that actually Plagueis is there watching Anakin as well.
Mm-hmm. He's
So-
there.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
Read that
the
book. Even though it's called Plagueis, it's by Darth Plagueis by James Luceno. It is technically a Legends book. I'm gonna tell you. I don't like. It's so well loved in the community that I honestly feel it's going to be one of the ones they're going to either they could straight canonize that book, and I don't think many people would have thrown a fit.
Yeah, people would just be like, "Yeah, we knew."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's canon. Yeah, whatever.
Plagueis knew about Maul the entire time. Maul was always the patsy. He was the fool guy. Plagueis set him in place and be like, "Okay, yeah, right. Have your second apprentice, because if he gets found out, we're still in the clear."
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Dooku and Ventress.
Yep,
So
exactly.
there's always someone under, which is why I ask: is it really the rule of 2?
Weston, I'd love that.
Maybe that's the acolyte. Well, no, it can't be because it's not.
Yeah. Oh, get a look here, Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
Young Palpatine. I could see that. I could see that work.
Yeah,
it's a little too on the nose with him, like being in the MCU and in Star Wars.
I don't know. I feel like Star Wars always goes for unknown actors for the major roles. But
Liam Neeson wasn't unknown.
What?
Liam Neeson wasn't unknown.
Liam Neeson's like wherever you put him, he's perfect.
Yeah, but Ewan McGregor had Trainspotting. That was
but that was more of an indie that blew up.
I'm not saying it's not. You're right. A lot of times you go for unknowns, but you never know. It comes in, especially when it comes to Disney series.
Like in all fairness, Liam Neeson died in the first one.
Yeah,
the story didn't revolve around him. I'm talking about like the story that, like, if it revolves around a certain character, they probably won't have the name actor.
That's true. That's a very strong point. I mean, I don't think something we can say definitively, because you never know. But it is past practice to have the leading role be more of an unknown character, unknown actor. So, but then again, that was mostly during the Lucas days as well, though. I think you could see maybe they develop their strategies a little bit differently now as we move on. We'll have to find out. But I think we should talk about the elephant in the room real quick before we finish up any more Phantom Menace talk. Let's bring it out there to the open. Let's break it out there. Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks is a character that was.
Have you seen the picture that was released? Not released, but like fan art of Darth Jar Jar.
Oh yeah! I saw
that was a big thing for a while.
No. There's like this recent fan art that they did, and I'm like,
look at Matty.
If they did it, it's like he looks so freaking cool.
Right?
Have you seen it, Matty?
I have.
I've seen it. For anyone who is subscribed to the Action Industries YouTube channel, go back to my general debate of year 1999, because Call Sign Canada tried to use that shit to beat me, and I debunked that shit of Jar Jar being. I crushed that argument. So don't come at me with this Jar Jar was a Sith nonsense. This bullshit that Jar Jar was a Sith. Don't even entertain the idea that's an insult to the dark side. I will not have it.
Well,
wow, very
I will not have it.
You're gonna hate me because I'm building a case of why he is.
Cool,
and I'll tear it down. I would tear it down.
We're gonna battle. We're gonna battle on Scoundrels of the Forest. I'm here for it. I'll have that be an upcoming battle. Matty versus Bidoor. I'll sit in judgment at that point. But real quick before we go in there, yes, that's true. Good point. Rosario Dawson is a character as Ahsoka is a known actress. So potentially
that is true. So is Pedro Pascal. Yes.
So we're developing it. So We'll find out. But anyway, back to Jar Jar. I want to say it's funny that people hated him in back in the day. He was actually the scapegoat. I hate this movie because of Jar Jar Binks, and that always I threw me as wrong. Because to be quite honest, is he annoying in Phantom Menace? Sure, there's some definitely annoying moments in him in episode 1.
Yeah.
But it's mainly 10 minutes of him being annoying.
He's made for kids, and you
Right,
can't say that Jar Jar in the second and third movie is the same as the first one. That's why I laughed earlier, because I saw Max's comment.
I love Maxwell. That's so true. But it was a lot. I think it was a lot of fuss made over a little thing. No, he's not for you. That's what it is. Not for you. He's for the kids. But overall, he's not a bad addition to the saga. There's some things about him I could see maybe changing. Maybe his voice wasn't quite what you want. You could tweak that a little bit. Some tweaks could be made, and he could actually be very. I think you could tweak it and make him actually a loved character to a degree. But unfortunately, it's almost too late. I did love, throwing it out there, what Aftermath did with him. The trilogy of Aftermath.
No spoilers.
Okay, you haven't read that? Okay. There's not much to it because I will say what Aftermath does. This is not about Jar Jar.
Wait. He becomes a
clown. He becomes a clown, basically. Because Aftermath trilogy, what it does, it has a main storyline. It's not my pants. A main storyline, but it has a lot of interludes. And one of the small interludes is like a little 3-page interlude. You go back to Naboo, and you see Jar Jar has returned to Naboo, living on Naboo, and he's basically become an entertainer of children, which is so meta and it's so positive.
General to entertainer.
Right. And it's a sad end, but at the same time, it's like he's there entertaining children, which that's what he was supposed to do in the first place. Yeah. So it's a very nice ending to me. I liked that particular way. He's also better in the Clone Wars. I think he's a character in the Clone Wars who got a little more loving as well. So I get why people hate him. I just think that people hold too much of a grudge. And they shouldn't bash the movie or hate the movie because of it. Because honestly speaking, you could skip over his parts, go take a bathroom break for 10 minutes, and you don't miss much at this point. You just skip over most of Jar Jar's antics.
I loved him as a kid. I thought Jar Jar was hilarious, to the point now me and my friends will be playing Call of Duty, and if one of us doesn't have a hand grenade, if we run out of grenades, someone will be like, Misa, no have a boomer. Like, I have, because we grew up with Jar Jar, and I don't like him in like Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, but being a kid back then, Jar Jar was hilarious. He was silly. He was fun.
So the one I use when we're all in voice chat and me and my friends just chill is hello Dello Feligits.
Hello Dello Feligits.
Hello
Feligits.
Have you heard the one where Morgan Freeman voices Jar Jar Binks?
Josh Robert Thompson on SCN.
That is
the
best thing I think I've ever seen about Star. Like a funny thing about Star Wars. I just laughed my eyes out.
If you haven't seen it, but you should find it at SCN with Josh Robert Thompson.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Voice. It's so funny. It's so perfect.
So talented with voices.
Yep. You just put Jar Jar Binks, Morgan Freeman. That's the first thing that pops
He's actually he was in the draft for the Schmodown. He wasn't picked up by anybody, but he might be. He does great impressions. He does. Josh Robert Thompson is his name.
Oh,
so
another
he's
person.
so talented with voices.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay. We'll talk about that. That's true. Exactly. That's true. And again, that's fine. I get it. I'm not saying you have to love the character. I just think he got a little bit too much shit overall. And again,
Star Wars has everything for everyone. That's the thing.
I mean, he quit acting, didn't he?
He did. He almost committed suicide.
He almost committed suicide because of it. Which is crazy. Like, people should separate the artist from the art.
The good thing about it,
Ahmed Best is not Jar Jar Binks. Exactly. Bullying him to the point where he needs to feel like he needs to take his own life.
Awful.
It's horrible, and whoever did that should feel ashamed of themselves.
Absolutely, 110%. Especially considering, honestly, Ahmed Best did a great job with what he was given. It's not his fault the way the character was written. He actually was one of the first digital characters. He did a great job creating that character, bringing him to life the way that George Lucas wanted him to be.
Yeah,
that's not his fault. But I will say, the happy ending to that, and one of the, as much as I talk about some of the toxicity in the Star Wars fan base, because it's there. Let's not
Yeah.
you gotta call a spade a spade. One of the good things about it is that a lot of the biggest fans have kind of turned a corner, and they've given him great reception when he's like come to Star Wars Celebration. They really reached out and they say, we love you. We don't, even if we don't like Jar Jar. Same with like Hayden Christensen.
Same with Hayden, exactly.
I mean, I was there at Star Wars Celebration when Hayden made his first appearance back in Celebration forever. He came on with it's kind of funny. I almost feel like they
With thunderous applause.
you got it. It was exactly the thing was that they paired him.
So many quotes.
Exactly. They paired him up with Ian McDiarmid as part of his big 40th anniversary of Star Wars Celebration. So I think they were kind of hedging their bets because like they knew nobody would boo Ian McDiarmid.
The other day.
But then Hayden came on, and like my God, he got a standing ovation. Everybody was cheering him and loving it. And it was such a great feeling.
I love that.
You could tell that he was like enjoying it in a way. It was so. That's the goodness of Star Wars.
Yeah,
when it all comes together, family like that. So
yeah, I feel like Celebration. I feel like the haters of Star Wars will not go to pay to hate on Star Wars. They'll just be online hating on Star Wars. So I feel like Celebration is a good community there.
I agree.
Maybe a little here and there you'd have those, loosey gooseys, but
Yeah, I think that's always going to be the case no matter where you go, right? But at the same time, it's for the hardcore. They're there. If you're going to Celebration, you're going there for the most part to love Star Wars.
Yeah,
I'm going there next year. Hopefully it goes out. Yeah, I got the 4-day ticket, so
I would love to
be my first time.
All right. Well, before we move on to a little deep dive segments in there, where would you rank this? Do you have a ranking in, like, say, your top 12 in the 12 Star Wars films? Do you have a ranking for it? I'm kind of curious.
Second to last.
Second to last. So it's number 11 for you. Okay. Matty, what about you?
I'm going to go 5.
5? It's your fifth highest. Wow, that shows your mall love there. Jarvi, do you have a listing at this point?
Yeah, I do. We even counted down, I think, on Class Action.
We did. They change all the time. I gotta say, I'll throw it out there. My top 4 never change, and my bottom 2 never change. Ones in the middle tend to flip around. So I'm kind of curious if it's the same or not.
my last one does not change, but anything above it, yeah, my top 6 doesn't. They might change if they add another movie that I love more, but as of right now, what we have, my top 6 don't change. And then my last one doesn't change.
Fair enough. Jarvi, where are you at?
It's number 8.
Number 8. Okay. Mm-hmm. For me, it's number 9 right now. That makes sense to me as well. But that's the thing. I still love it. Mm-hmm. Hell, the 12th movie on my list, I still watch and have no problem watching.
Here's the thing. I have it second to last. Doesn't mean that I don't like it. I just love the other ones more. But I still love the Phantom Menace. I would rewatch it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Matty, that's right. Matty Kearns was on that Class Action drive. He was one who helped us out with that. Matty Kearns is going to have to come on the show if he can get up. He's up this early to be in the chat. The Matty Kearns is definitely going to make an appearance. I don't know if you guys, Matty and Bidoor, do you know Matt Kearns at all?
I've seen him in chats, but unfortunately, we never had the privilege of speaking with Matty Kearns.
Old school Schmodown fan. He actually cosplayed as other guys. He cosplayed as Mark Riley, and he got he looks like a great Mark Riley. He's a big Mark Riley fan. He's also a good action industry guy, old school action industry person as well. He's been away a little bit here and there, but I love seeing him in this chat and other things as well. So, Matty Kearns, you're welcome on any time if you can get up early enough in the morning like I do to do this. You're also welcome. And Max, number 9, I love it, Max. Number 9, it's my for at this point.
See, mine goes original trilogy, Rogue One, Phantom Menace.
That's not a bad one to have, but we'll get into more of the full-on rankings at another time. I think we'll get into, because right now we got to get into our we'll go into our deep dives of the episode here of episode 1, something from where we took something from the episode and we want to go a little bit further into it before we piece out of this joint. But Dora, you know what? You pitched this to me at one point, so I'm going to let you start. And if you're okay with that.
All right. So I picked The Force. And I was like, the reason I picked the Force is because Qui-Gon does talk about the Force, and he does like talk about the living Force and how all of it. And then I was just like, all right, let me choose the Force and try and find basically the origin of it, like where did it all come from and all of that. So in the world of Star Wars, the Force is a mysterious energy field created by life that binds the galaxy together. Some believe the origin of the Force came from Mortis, and whoever knows Mortis, he's from the Clone Wars. We actually get an arc with him that I love that arc so much. But throughout, like, the galaxy in Star Wars is freaking huge, so not everyone called it the Force. Other names for the Force is Ashla by the Lasat and Bogon for the dark side, also by the Lasat. It by the Dainago Omi. Life Current by the Mustafarians. Tide by the Luwians. Sight by the Chiss, which I did read in the wrong book, so I'm proud of myself. Life Wind by the Zepho. Great Presence by Chaos. Luminous Mist by the Mistweavers. And there are religions to it. There's the Church of the Force, Guardians of the Will, the Jedi Order, and the Sith Order. There's also like the types of the Force, which are two types that Qui-Gon talks about, which is the living Force, which is the energy of life, and then the cosmic Force that binds everything together with the living Force. To go into a little bit more detail, living Force is the Force that resides in and was generated by all life, and that feeds the comics Force through midichlorians. I said it, you guys. Don't dislike the video.
Oh my God, midichlorians, the M word.
The M word.
The M count.
M count. Yeah. Where even in Mandalorian has to be like, I can't say the word. We'll just say the M count.
Yeah. And then the cosmic Force, as I said, it's formed by the energy field that bound all things together through the transcending space and time. And we all know there's a light side, there's a dark side. Light side is aligned with calmness, peace, passiveness, and was used for knowledge and defense, which were mainly associated with the Jedi. Sorry, there's a piece of hair on my lip. The dark side taps into raw emotion of aggression, fear, anger, hatred, and passion, and they're towards the Sith, aka Matty Gunner.
That checks out, yeah.
Oh, wait, actually, 1 second, real quick, Wesson, real quick before you leave. I did actually see that she has a Streamlab in there that I missed. It just registered now, Wesson. So if it's still there, I'm going to answer your question right now. Is there a canon difference between scum and a scoundrel? Is Han scum or just a scoundrel? That's a great question, Wesson.
He's a scoundrel.
I will
a
say
scoundrel, but
go ahead.
Yeah, no, he's a scoundrel, but he can also be scum. Let's be real.
I think we all can be scum and scoundrel depending on the day and the night and everything else and who we're with, right? If you're with the right person, we can turn to scum real quick. But I like Han. Han's one of my favorite characters of all time. And concerning the show, we called the show Scoundrels of the Forest. I'm going to call Han a scoundrel over a scum.
Depends on who's asking.
That's true. That's true. It depends on who's asking. But thanks, Weston. Very appreciative of that. Really appreciate the donation and everything else. HorseStreamLabs.com/PLD project.
Oh, you meant to bounce because of the use of the M.
Oh! There I'm trying to run out. I'm not trying to run you out. Stick around. That's great.
It's okay. I'll bring it back, you guys.
Bring it back. Go ahead.
So there are thousands of things that you can do by using the Force. So honestly, we don't have the time for me to say the thousands of them. So here's the ones that I chose that I actually enjoy knowing about.
Okay.
Telekinesis, Force Sense, Levitation, Pyrokinesis.
Pyrokinetics.
I can't speak today.
You can do fire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Healing Force, which we discovered recently. Hibernation Trance, which was what Qui-Gon did, facing Maul.
Yep.
Force Lightning, Force Illusion, Mind Probe, Sith Alchemy, which was was what Palpatine was promising Anakin to bring back the undead. Battle Meditation, and Force Jump. Because some people want to jump high. And those are the things that I dove into, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah,
hope
very
you learn
cool.
something new.
And of course,
Force Heal. Force Heal was actually
real quick. Into the Dark, we had a little bit more onto that. We'll say the gray Jedi, so to speak, if you want to call it that, a different version of the gray Jedi potentially we're going to get into. We'll get into that both later on. I know Bidoor knows.
Are you talking about the thing that they mentioned that they can do, but not be attached?
Could be.
Okay.
All right, Jarvi, go ahead with what you're saying. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking about Force Heal. They actually introduced Force Heal in the Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast games. So
yeah, but that's not canon.
I played those.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of times, a lot of things in Legends are actually true. They're just not technically canon.
Yeah, I mean, they brought back Battle Meditation, which was from KOTOR.
That's very true. Battle Meditation was also, was still a Sean, and now it's also in the High Republic as well, called the Song of the Force here, a little bit, but it's basically the same thing as we go. I like that.
I mean, she sees it as a song, just like the other one sees it as an ocean.
Exactly. So it's different ways you can look into it, but definitely. I kind of hope they bring back the name Battle Meditation at some point. I just like that name. I just love the concept of it as a name. But all right. Thank you, Bidoor. Looking into the Force like that, I appreciate that. Matty, you want to go next with what you were into?
So mine that I went into, was it's obvious. I went into Darth Maul's victim, Qui-Gon Jinn.
I like what you did there.
As Jarvi and Paul both know, my favorite movies are old school martial arts movies and samurai movies, and the love that I share with George Lucas is of Kurosawa movies. And to me, Qui-Gon, he is, as we said earlier, he is the old Roman. Like, he serves no one, he answers to his own morality, and his own code is very similar to that of Bushido, of loyalty to your master, self-discipline, and respect and protect all living things. When Qui-Gon was a lot younger, and this was detailed in the Dooku, I believe the Dooku Jedi Lost book or the Master and Apprentice book, one of the two, he would walk around it, like he wouldn't go into the meditation chambers of the temple. He would spend a lot of time in this room where they had all different plants from different planets of the galaxy, and he's very much that man of nature and of living things. He's a wanderer. He's very much of the old ways, which we are seeing more of the High Republic. And he would either do that, or he would be training with his sword until Yaddle kicked him out of the sparring ring. Which, to me, that nature and perfecting your swordcraft, that's samurai. That is the very nature of what the samurai do. They protect all living things. But he's still that little bit of a maverick. He turned down becoming a member of the Jedi Council. Max, that's exactly right. Star Wars is Hidden Fortress, and he turned down becoming a member of the Jedi Council, and I believe that's because he foresaw what was going to happen, or he had some kind of inkling as to what was going to happen. Obviously,
if he was going to be needed, kind of thing, right? Or he was going to be needed as far as Anakin coming about and everything else. I think I agree 100% with you. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And Qui-Gon was a master of reading the ancient prophecies. Like, Yoda would talk about how they how they thought they got it wrong, but that's because they were looking solely at the one prophecy of the chosen one, whereas Qui-Gon read them.
He got it wrong, though.
He got it wrong.
Is he though?
Don't throw me off, man.
I'm just sorry.
I love those
now I'm questioning my own argument. Now I'm like, yeah, is he really? Shit. But Qui-Gon, he read all of the prophecies. He didn't just read the one. He took everything into context. So he had a broader understanding of everything. There's a series of books that were written, the Jedi Apprentice novels, which showed that Qui-Gon had a. No, this was way before. This was Qui-Gon had. Well, that's the thing. Like, they're not listed if they're legends or canon, so who knows?
Is it the Kevin Anderson Jedi Apprentice books you're talking about?
The ones where he had the apprentice Xanatos.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, they are legends in the day, but they are very cool. There's actually a whole school of Qui-Gon and Xanatos, and there's also a follow-up series about Obi-Wan and Anakin too. It's actually a very cool young adult series. It's actually one of my favorites. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in there. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matty.
But you see this trend of Obi-Wan following in Qui-Gon's footsteps, because there's a book in there where they go to a planet, I can't remember what it's called, but they engage in this civil war, and they end up on opposite sides.
Yes.
YA books. But they end up on opposite sides, and Obi-Wan eventually ends up leaving the Jedi Order to fight in this war. And it's like, what if Qui-Gon had done the same? What if he had just taken Anakin? Instead of, when they were saying he's too old to begin the training, what if Qui-Gon just said, okay, Obi-Wan can go do the trials, I'm out. I'm taking this kid, I'm going to go train him. I know what he should become, so I'm going to go train him. See you later. Last straw, I'm gone.
Very interesting stuff. I love that angle. I would love to see a what if version in the Star Wars universe of stuff like that, because that's a lot of stuff to go into at that point. And Qui-Gon is at the heart of it, so I like that angle a lot. Good work. Get it, Mike. My brain going. I
got a question though. It's just like a random question. What happened? Like, if you quit the Jedi Order, like for example, if Obi-Wan quits the Jedi Order for good, does he get to keep the lightsaber? Like, is it turning your badge and your firearm now, and you give it your saber, or can you just take it with you and just?
I think you keep your lightsaber.
Well, some
can you?
do. I think it's one of the things, like Ahsoka didn't take her lightsabers back at one point. Remember, too, it was one of the things she gave them back in a way. It's kind of like, I don't know.
When she left heartbroken.
Yeah, that's part of it too. I almost wonder if I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. That's what I don't think there is about it. But if you made your own lightsaber, and if you leave in the order, it depends on how you're leaving the order. Dooku, obviously left it much differently than Ahsoka did, and no one was going to tell Dooku he couldn't take his lightsaber.
He was just bend his, and it turns red.
Pretty much, right? Exactly. That's a good thing. This is why I love having you on the show, Jarvi, though, because you're asking these questions that I don't think about asking. Real quick, I do have another donation from Matt Kearns, of course. Matt Kearns, love you, my brother. This says, really enjoy the show. You guys have some fantastic Star Wars discussions. Thank you so much, Matt. Again, I'm looking forward to having you on at some point. Absolutely, to join that angle. So, Jarvi, now I know you had a little. You were a little under the weather. Did you actually were able to come up with something you wanted to
So yeah, I didn't. Well, I prepped something, but mine is. I guess I didn't quite understand the assignment, so I just have a takeaway from the movie that I think I've mentioned before. But since I think you all three had a similar approach, I'd let PLD go first, and then I'll go last.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, we'll do that. If you want to go, that's great. I'm glad you're willing to go. That makes me happy. I'm going to break down something that I talked about before. I brought it up in the anthology discussions from the news bits. I love that Star Wars is such a wealth of treasure trove of places you can pick things from. Supporting characters. My cat's going to come in. Love you, Indiana Jones, but you're a pain in the ass. But you can take all these different background pieces and information, and you can learn so much more. You can have whole stories based on things that happen for 2 seconds in the movie, the comics. And I decided to take one of them. There was 2 characters I went to choose from Phantom Menace. I could have gone with Quinlan Vos, who makes a quick appearance on Tatooine, but also make another quick appearance. Aura Singh. By the way, Jared, that's Aura Singh. That's the one shot that Aura Singh is in the Phantom Menace. And I want to talk about her because I love her character. I'm a sucker for a good bounty hunter story, I got to admit. So a lot of this stuff is cool to me. She has a lot of depth to her, but there's still a lot more to come. She's in the Darth Maul comic that takes place before episode 1, where you see that she's actually worked with Darth Maul before. She's worked with Cad Bane before episode 1. That comic book, if you ever did it, it's a great tale about Darth Maul, who actually gets to fight a Padawan of the Jedi Order. And obviously, you're like, well, how did that happen if he didn't reveal himself to the Jedi yet? Well, it's taken care of. Let's just put it that way. It's all taken care of by the trial. It's basically it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful thing. He goes off on his own a little bit. But you get to see so many different bounty hunters. You get to see Cad Bane. You get to see the Hondo and Naka of the world and everything else. Of course, again, I'm a sucker for Hondo and Naka. I'm not going to lie. Yes, we are LGR. As they are, is that Shug or Justin? I don't know if that's probably Shug. Love you, Shug. Hondo is a pirate, and that's why I love about Hondo. I'd go into that some, and I'm definitely going to do a deep dive into later on because I love being in between characters. Just like Taylor Card from Legends, Hondo from the Canon is one of my favorites.
Literally right above me.
Oh, there's Cad Bane right there. That's another one I love so much. But
I don't know where Orosing is.
So you have, do you have one of ours? I don't have. I'm not a good pop person. I only have a few, and they were in some boxes I got. But either way, she has a great little. She has moments in that where she teams up with them. The Clone Wars, she comes back, and you find out that she is a big part of Boba Fett's life. She's almost a mother figure to young Boba Fett during the Clone Wars cartoon, and I love watching that as well. Jax the Green Bunny. That's a legend story that's almost a little bit too far, just so you know, Matty. That's something you have to read eventually at some point. But the Clone Wars have different takes where she gets to run into Ahsoka, she gets to run into Anakin Skywalker, she gets to run into Boba Fett, she runs into Boss. She has a lot of different missions where she turned out she's as cold-hearted as any other bounty hunter. She's definitely more on the, I don't want to say evil side, but she's heartless. She's cold, she's heartless, except for the fact she's Hondo and Naka's girl for a little bit. That's also a fun little angle that they have together. But at the end of the day, the last time we saw her in the Clone Wars, I believe, if I'm right, was when they teamed up with Cad Bane to take over the Senate building, trying to take hostages to free Zero the Hutt from imprisonment. So it's kind of early on in the Clone Wars. And then the next time we hear about her was in Solo, a Star Wars story, as a throwaway line where Tobias Beckett, Woody Harrelson's character in Solo, mentions that he killed Aura Singh, which pleased Dryden Voss and actually pleased Lando Calrissian, who supposedly owed her a large debt. So I'm perfectly hopeful. I really do want to see what happened between the last time we saw her in Clone Wars and Solo, because that to me sounds like a great interacting of a bunch of different characters that I love. So I did like Aura Singh quite a bit. I'm glad that we got to see in depth. And I hope to see that in the future. I still love watching these guys take these characters that are just one flame shot that just look interesting. It's design work by Doug Chang and crew. And you're like, that person looks interesting. I want to see more about them because they can develop into such a great character on the side. It just enriches the whole saga for me. So love that one. Yes, so that's my take. That's my deep dive into the episode one bit. Jarvi, is that enough time for you?
There's I want to ask you this.
Go ahead.
There's another thing, first appearance in the Phantom Menace that is also mentioned in Solo. Do you know what it is?
Mentioned in Solo. First appearance mentioned in Solo. I'll probably notice as soon as you tell them, oh yeah, that's right, of course, absolutely.
Crimson
Voss. What was that?
Mm-hmm.
Crimson Dawn.
No.
Go ahead, Bidoor. Lay it out on us.
It's so obscure, but Colo Clawfish.
Oh yeah. That's right. Absolutely, yes, that's right. No, you totally know what you're talking about. Yes, the fish, the little things. Oh god, that's right. That's exactly the kind of thing I love. Is they create these little things for each episode. We use. Is that going to be a surround question, maybe?
Writing that one down, future reference.
I would have gotten a multiple choice problem. I love that. I should ask you for multiple choice. What I should have done. Now you mentioned it, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. I was thinking like more like character based or something like that. So I'm like thinking totally different. I'm like, oh, was there another character mentioned I didn't think about? But no. So good one. Yeah, you know what? That's true, Weston. You know, I think about that. No body, no death. Hey, you never know. Maybe she is alive. Certainly, people have come back from worse. For a fall, could be worse. All right, Jarvi.
I'm saying Mace Windu's alive.
Mace Windu's alive. That can still happen. It could still happen.
He fell, and it's just a hand and
Just
some
a
lightning. Anyone can survive that.
He's a badass motherfucker. Right?
Exactly.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Do you reckon Mace Windu has that wallet?
I think he does. He's got this. It's got like the Jedi symbol on it. It says here. So yeah, it's in Orabesh, but it still says badass motherfucker.
So I approached
Also,
these.
Matty, your friend has
Who it is?
It's
What's his
Dave.
name, Matty? What's his name? It's still Dave.
Jarvi, your turn.
Why? What have I missed?
That's Matty's love for Dave.
That's Dave.
Thank you.
That's
Dave. It's not Goku, Grogu.
It's
Is that
Dave.
Dave?
It's Dave.
Dave. It's Dave.
Yeah, I said your friend. I didn't say Grogu.
It's your friend,
Okay,
Dave.
we're good.
You almost tapped into your dark side there.
I know, right?
Which actually
No,
leads into
You're
which leads perfectly into my takeaway, which I wanted to like sort of ask you guys, and I looked it up a little bit more while you were talking, and actually found some maybe information that you don't know, you probably do, but one of my favorite things about the Phantom Menace is, and I've talked about this before, is where Obi-Wan sees Qui-Gon get killed, and he's ready to demolish Darth Maul. Like he first off he yells no, and you can see on his face that's pure anger right there. He's not tapping into the light side there. So that got me thinking, sort of, can Jedi wield dark side powers and still stay Jedi? So while you were talking, I quickly Googled this, and I found that it's a concept known as potentium. That started with like role-playing communities, and it was named in the novel Rogue Planet.
Yes.
But it was rejected by the Jedi Council in most parts, and pretty much they said that they would have argued that the concept was largely rejected by the Jedi for good reasons. They would have argued that few, if not none, can thread a line so thin. So one of the big reasons why I'm so excited for the Kenobi series is I want Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon have that discussion, sort of communicate how he, I don't know, tapped into the dark side there, or when he's in exile on Tatooine, maybe something happens to him that makes him almost switch.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of how.
I love that angle. You're right.
It's not a lesson that I prepared, more of a question.
That's fine.
I mean, yeah. There's, I guess, the closest thing in canon to it is Dark Disciple.
Yeah. Quinlan Voss definitely does.
Quinlan Voss did go dark and then come back? Question mark. I'm not gonna spoil. I'm not gonna
spoil it. That's true.
I'm just gonna say question mark.
And speaking of that, yeah, Matty, that's our Legends thing. I don't think it was touched on much in canon yet. I admit, as an older guy, sometimes I do wonder what was brought into canon from Legends. Sometimes I kind of go back and forth. I know it definitely in Legends, his whole lightsaber fighting style of a pod was a dark side touching lightsaber. Like it touched the dark side in order for him to make it as dangerous as it was. So that's another way you can talk about that. Jarvi, real quick, talking to the potentium. Yeah, I actually love that angle. I kind of love they're more specifically Jet or Force users who believed you needed both the light and the dark in order to have balance in a way.
Balance, yeah.
It's definitely it's a theory that makes a lot of sense that people would go that way. I love the idea of how we get to explore more of those. I would love to see. I love the fact that in Rogue One they brought the Guardians of the Will out there, and they have different versions of the Force, like Bidoor brought up earlier. I would love to see different Force users as we go, and I'm sure we're going to see it.
You saw Maz as well.
Yep, absolutely. So I can't wait to get further into depth on that. And Maxwell, you're right. Maxwell's Dark Disciple is an awesome story. I want to see that.
This is why I love Max.
He's good. He's a good guy. We love him. Maybe Jarvi, maybe as this is our second episode and this is our first episode with a new format. It's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. We have to try to tighten up a little bit.
I think it's because of me.
No, we were actually like an hour and 15, 20 minutes before you even came in. But perhaps we discovered your role, Jarvi, if you want to be on more and more. Like we had like the three of us could potentially pull stuff that we know from deeper canon and deeper legends and stuff, where you could ask a question of the council, so to speak, because from your perspective in a way, that might be a good way to go about it in a way. I'm throwing this on air, but I have to say, right?
I've got a question though.
There you go.
In the Phantom Menace, Anakin talks about angels. Are angels actually a part of Star Wars canon? Like now, I quickly Googled that as well, and it said that they're called like diathym.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of that reference before. And first it even sounds kind of weird. Are they like bringing religion into this sort of? And it's a weird thing, but they never talk about it again.
It's a species, and I think they are shown in Clone Wars.
Yes,
They're shown in Clone Wars.
The Mystery of 1,000 Moons episode where they get caught on that planet. They get caught. Anakin and Obi-Wan get caught on the planet with the moons of Yago, I want to say something like that.
Yago,
The kid that's on the planet there who had, I can't remember his name now. They're looking for the blue shadow virus antidote,
the cure.
The cure for that. There's that one kid who is keeping them. There's some reason everybody thinks they're being kept on the planet for some reason because every time a ship tried to leave, it was shot down and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were the diatham were mentioned there, and they were talking about it.
Yeah. They are shown, so they're actually like a canon thing. They look like angels, basically a species.
But yeah, so it's not like actually an angel, not like a
halo
god or halo, or It's just I think it's supposed to be that they're so beautiful. Is that the way they call them is just a way to translate it into English for us. But yeah, they were reputed for their beauty. A lot of different things. They actually make appearances.
It's not English. It's basic.
In Queen's Peril, they're mentioned. Also, Clone Wars. I think they only ever appeared in the Clone Wars. That's the only time they ever appeared. They were mentioned a bunch of other places. But again, I love those things. It's the great thing about Star Wars, right?
I love the idea of having Jarvi shoot us questions because that means I can corrupt him to the dark side like I did Bidoor.
Or maybe I throw one in the middle.
Just want to also shout out another Streamlabs from Maxwell, one of the greatest human beings alive. Thank you, Maxwell. Great show. Thanks for helping me keep awake. Anytime, Max. I mean, if you ever want to come talk Star Wars and you're up at this time, I know it's not time you're usually up, but again, another person who's more than welcome to join the council on occasion. I love that as well. The Scoundrels. I said council.
Scoundrels.
Yeah.
Kearns' comment has me.
Jarvi, come on, man.
Sorry, bro. Didn't mean to cockblock you there, Anakin.
Poor kid. And yes, Ed Harris is a real angel. That's a very true movie from OBC. Love me, Ed Harris. So yeah, I'd love to see Ed Harris in Star Wars again. Or Mando. There's Ed Harris and Mando. That's what I always have to bring that back up.
I love that you have it ready.
He has it ready, cocked, and sort of.
It's Ed Harris.
That happens. I want an immediate reaction video from PLD on the internet immediately.
I don't even know what I would do. I have no idea what I'd do at that point. But we'll have to find out. I hope I get to show you that video someday. But guys, you know what? We're around an hour 45 in. I think it's time we wrap it up. Hopefully next time we'll be a little bit less, make it a little bit less. So we'll tighten up a little bit. But I'm on Jarvi's going to pick our next media. I think we're going to do. Although our next show is in 2 weeks, which we discussed before Jarvi was on there. We actually might go into the next book that was released because it would just be a great time to finish that up. So perhaps we'll do that next. And Jarvi, because you won't be able to read it in time, probably. I don't think you said that.
Yeah, probably not. But that's fine. That's okay.
You don't mind that being on for some of that.
I probably won't be on because I think I want to go through the books. But
Perfect.
I can maybe jump in before, like the first episode that you did. I kind of listened to it up until you got to the book, but which was like 20 minutes in. So
yeah, you get to come on for the news and then like excuse yourself.
Exactly.
At that point.
You can be our public defender, like how I usually come on and give you the public defender. You come on and give us the question.
Perfect.
There we go.
So we'll try to Into the Dark next week. That'll be our thing. We'll try to read the book. Matty's got 2 days to read it. It's going to be a challenge for him, but I'm sure he can. I'm sure he's up to the challenge. And then we'll have to take something from that and do a little deep dive into that potentially. What we're going to do.
Why 2 days?
Because he doesn't get the book until the 18th of February.
Oh, right. Got it.
Supposedly, I have it on Kindle already. And Bidoor threw me under the bus and says that I made her buy it on Kindle.
You introduced me to that method.
I did.
You've got a nasty cut ahead of you, Matty. He knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Reference. So we do that, and yeah, hey, absolutely, Matt. But if you want to do ad hoc clones, when we do that, I'll definitely hit you up for that. Movie Fanobi. I need to see that happen now. That'd be so phenomenal for me.
Currency can make it work. He sent us some pretty good stuff.
He did.
Man, do me a favor. Don't put POD as Luke. Put him as Padme.
I'd be okay with that. He's a lovely, lovely man. He's a lovely man. So, all right, without further ado, why don't we just we'll cut this down to size and we'll say, Jarvi, where can the folks find you?
You can find me at Richard Erik with a K Jarvi on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find me on on Action Industries talking class action with PLD.
And that's going to actually go up later on today. Our episode that we recorded earlier today on the Action Industries YouTube channel. We're talking The Departed versus The Town, which both movies are Boston crime movies. So go for it. There you go. I'll absolutely let Max plug PJ Cable. I stand the PJ Cable Network talking WandaVision at 12 Pacific.
I just love being in chat, and even if I don't say anything, I put them on and just fall asleep. I love those guys so much.
I love them too. If I'm awake, I have to do Crash a little bit. If I'm awake, I'll definitely be there live. If not, I'll definitely watch it later on for sure. Bidoor, where can the folks find you?
Okay, let me breathe. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Let's Get Ready Net and Let's Get Ready Network on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at BIDOORR and on stereo because that's fun. I need to talk to Matty and PLD on stereo. And what else am I on?
Make sure you make a decent avatar for stereo.
I
People
did.
have been messing up.
Don't worry, I did.
Not pulling the bait.
I'm not.
Get it Kalinowski approved.
Right, that's right.
Where else am I
on?
Here every other week.
The Holocron.
Yeah, the Holocron. We have the Holocron on Wednesdays. Watch-alongs Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Schmodown Talk on Fridays. Yeah, I don't know. I need to make a list of where I'm on.
Sounds good. Matty, can you follow it up?
You can find me on Twitter at Matty Gunner and on Instagram at Matty_Gunner. You can find me Wednesdays and Sundays on the Wild Jones Podcast Network and on Twitch at Matty Gunner TV for the ONU MMA show, where we break down the world of combat sports, break down fight cards, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, etc., etc. And you can also find me on stereo under Matty Gunner and also Clubhouse. Anyone that's on Clubhouse, if you have an iPhone, you can find me under Matty Gunner on there. Every Saturday, we do watch-along parties for the fights, and they get pretty nuts. So definitely come check those out. And you can also find me here with these beautiful people.
Oh. All right, with me at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me on PLD Products whenever anything goes live because it is my home channel. I don't do a whole lot. Scoundrels of the Forest is really my first regular ongoing thing that I've done because I tried to do some stuff before. I found that I just didn't like doing stuff by myself, so I kind of stopped it. But I will eventually go back and do the rest of my V reviews.
Oh, you muted yourself.
You're muted. It's the cat.
This freaking
He's
cat.
doing. I should know.
You're muted on.
Jarvi, you should have his sign off down.
I
to
just
a
want
fine
to say,
tier.
I think I should know what his stuff is, but he does something on the Schmodown Entertainment Network, and he's behind the scenes on Action Industries with all of Ben and Drew's shows. He does pop in on the WandaVision review and many other shows that they're on as well. So go follow Action Industries. The
Masters in the Appendage.
No, that's what he said. Sorry?
You have the Masters in the Appendage.
I don't know.
The Apprentice, Appendage, because they
right.
call the Appendage for the Masters in the Appendage. Yeah, you're right.
I tried to do an outro, but
that's all right. I appreciate that.
Stuff.
I'll throw it in there. All right, PLD Products. I'm on Action Industries YouTube channel with Ben and Drew as the appendage, as Ben Hitting called me, the third leg of the Action Industries. I do their content behind the scenes, Action Unfiltered, Saturday shows, and also Action Guys, and also on WandaVision. Our latest episode was up this week. It was a great episode we had with Ben Bateman, with Rachel Cushing, and myself deep diving into the latest episode of WandaVision. Also, you can find me on Call to Action, our Schmodown, our two-time award-winning Schmodown after show. This week we have on Paid for Betty, and maybe Frankie Alvarez was originally scheduled, but I know he just had a baby, so that might have to be rescheduled.
I love Frankie Alvarez.
I love Frankie as well. I do. I love Frankie. But Monday actually is a big day for Call to Action. We're actually doing a lot of new stuff for Call to Action. We're gonna have a State of the Union episode soon where we kind of detail some of the new things that we're doing. But you get some previews. Monday we have the after action report where our statistician Megs is going to be going through different factions by the numbers. She's she's basically our Frankie numbers, but better. Love you, Frank.
Wait, Megs is the best. Love Megs.
But she's got a great concept. She's wonderful. We have a special chilled action episode. We're bringing on Sam Levine, talking his draft and everything else. That should be a lot of fun there. And a new show hosted by Billy Belford and myself. We're calling it Turn It Up to 11. We're going to be talking the top 10. It was going to be the top 10 Schmodown moments in history of the Schmodown. But of course, 11 is better than 10. So we're going to turn it up to 11 as we will. And so that's going to be another ongoing show. That's going to start from the minds of Billy Belford. I think I've talked enough. Thanks, guys, for everybody for liking, subscribing. Thank you for the donations on Streamlabs. Much appreciated. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Like I said, we'll be discussing Into the Dark, the Claudia Gray High Republic novel. And then we'll go on from there. We'll discuss wherever we're going to go. And we have these scoundrels with me. I would say council. I don't know why I keep saying that. These scoundrels. We're scoundrels.
We're scum.
We're scum and villainy. Besides that, thank you very much. I love you guys all. I love talking Star Wars. Let's keep Star Wars positive because that's what I want to see in this crazy world out there. Because who wants to be negative? Talk about what we love. Fuck it. Right? All right, guys. Take care. Have a good day.